Great to meet you, Keaton. Thanks very much for the Q&A session. Really appreciate you jumping on, explaining family true chains to myself and sort of everyone around. So yeah, it'd be great to hear about yourself and how you got into things.
Of course, and thank you, Alex, for letting me provide this opportunity here to discuss with you. So a little bit about my background and how CHAIN2FAMILY came to be. I came from a background where I was actually self-taught in a lot of aspects. And diving a little bit more in depth with that, I came from a background of a bunch of farmers and cowboys out in Salt Lake City, Utah, which is kind of funny. I had plans on joining the Air Force to pursue certain cybersecurity programs, but fortunately, I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which kind of takes you out of the play for the military. I couldn't afford college or a major university, so I literally taught myself everything from the computer. And I hope that inspires certain people in realizing that you can't literally do anything with a computer and internet connection. I was fortunate enough to have a job at Tesla, which exposed me to a lot of information technology. It would expose me to software, troubleshooting, diagnosing, and I just fell down a rabbit hole of coding and just technology. And that led to diving into web development, cybersecurity, and it has now led to the blockchain space where I am, innovating it and trying to secure it for a lot of people around the world now at this point. How I came to CHAIN2FAMILY is that I was a part of BlockFi, trying to figure out how I can get my family to partake in, for example, like a shared wallet where we can all contribute and share our net worth and grow, basically. And they didn't have that capability. They didn't have the capability of being able to share that type of experience with the family household or just with my brother or sister. So that led me to try to innovate and try to theorize what could happen with blockchain technology. How can this change certain things for the household and a collective household? So the overall aspect that led to was me actually putting together a presentation with how all these Visa cards were going to interoperate with blockchain technology or these exchanges. And sure enough, within about 6 months or a year, we started seeing BlockFi roll out a rewards program, and then Coinbase started to announce their early access with a type of crypto Visa card. So I knew that I was on track to something, and that eventually led me to where CHAIN2FAMILY is now. So what is CHAIN2FAMILY? CHAIN2FAMILY, in a nutshell, we consider ourselves to be the family tree of blockchain. And the best way I can visually describe this is that imagine the trunk of a tree that is going to resemble the core blockchain. From there, the branches and leaves are the individually owned and operated sidechain, or in this case, the cross-chain ledgers. These ledgers are both privately and publicly owned for the individual, so they can store any type of physical or digital asset. And this type of process is through the use case of tokenization. So with that being said, with the core blockchain model, what type of services do we aim to provide? What type of solutions are we looking to have for CHAIN2FAMILY, the individual household or collective household, family members, whoever it may be that they consider to be in their circle, I could say. We aim to provide individual and collective household staking model, meaning that you can stake, obviously, in CHAIN2FAMILY's platform, but you would also have the opportunity to stake into your own household or into a collective household. You can have your family members, generate passive income from each other by this type of proof of stake model that we want to achieve through that process. We're also wanting to be a type of all-in-one solution, meaning that instead of you having to, go to another blockchain platform another type of token to partake in storage or security, we would have an all-in-one solution for the individual household and their collective family members. That's going to range from lending and borrowing. For example, they wouldn't have to go to a third-party bank or even to a centralized exchange to begin that process. They can literally lend and borrow from their specific circle, their family, household, and any type of form of cryptocurrency, right? It can be in the fiat form of USDC, USDT, or it could be in a different type of form of Ethereum, Ether, or Bitcoin, whatever type of currency it may be. And then our blockchain core platform is able to power that through the use case of our own coin, which is going to be the CHAIN2FAMILY coin, or C2S, I should say. That's going to be the main way it powers this ecosystem, right? We're going to also offer solution online and offline storage, meaning that we have the capability of storing these physical and digital assets either on the network or off the network. That is a very crucial security aspect. Off the network means cold storage, meaning that no hackers or threat actors can, get into your type of account, whatever that be. We're approaching this process by providing both a private layer and a public layer. When I describe a private and public layer, that is a hybrid use case, a hybrid permission to permissionless type of blockchain model or sidechain ledger for these households or the individual, meaning that in order for them to exchange information, for example, to a third-party bank that may support a centralized bank digital currency, a CBDC, it needs to be on the public layer, because they're most likely going to be on the public layer with their ledger. That's just another use case example. We're also going to be looking at providing security and insurance. We have the capability now to insure your tokenized asset, physical, digital. So it's going to be a huge, crucial aspect with one of our solutions down the road. In this technical use case, through tokenization and having each individual and their household be able to tokenize their assets, this opens up an opportunity for many possibilities. For an example, they would have access to what was going to be a decentralized marketplace. Imagine Craigslist, but entirely on a decentral global scale. You're able to trade, you're able to exchange any type of asset, or even have the possibility of having your asset be used for interest or tokenized, but staked into. You could stake into communities all over the world at that point. Something that I believe to be a revolutionary and innovative concept we're approaching here. We're also going to have the capability of providing decentralized IDs. A decentralized ID is very crucial for people out in third world countries who do not have a ledger or a way to showcase transaction history. They would be able to have more job opportunities, be able to go to a bank and say, hey, yes, I do have some type of credit built up through CHAIN2FAMILY's platform. Here is my ledger, and see that being a very big aspect down the road. We would also have a better way of having mass adoption through the use case of Starlink, for example. Starlink is going to be providing access to internet and Wi-Fi for everybody all over the globe. So depending on what type of technology they have or have access to, we are wanting to be able to have this platform be accessible through a mobile app, for example, which in most cases is how these third world countries are going to be accessing the internet. They won't be on a computer, most likely. They're most likely going to have a cellular device. Another type of thing that we're looking at is providing a physical hardware wallet. I remember discussing with somebody saying, to put it in average Joe terms, the older generation has a hard concept of digital currencies because they can't physically see it or touch it. But with the hardware wallet capability, just like a cellular device, you're able to fill it on your presence, which is some type of comfort for them. As an example, they're able to feel that have this physical device on that has their currency or their assets stored in there. Just as an example, with the type of hardware wallet capability. This type of project does require a lot of DeFi talent, decentralized talent all over the globe. We aim to be a remote-first company, and we want to be a remote-first company to finish, but we realize we need to start locally and branch out from here in order for this to be an effective use case platform. So we're looking for blockchain architects who have experience with centralized banking digital currencies. Because in order for our platform to merge the gap between traditional finance, centralized finance, into that decentralized space, we need people who are understanding, who are actively innovating and a part of these type of government sectors looking to adopt to a centralized banking digital currency. An example of such talent that we have on board is Dr. Mit. He is from India. He actually has been a part of the centralized banking digital currency use case. He's been working with Samsung in his specific sector and developing a offline transaction method for centralized banking digital currency, meaning that doesn't have to be on the network. That is revolutionary, that is innovative, and at CHAIN2FAMILY, we see that being crucial talent for us to be able to adopt and pursue this with them out there in India down the road, which also helps us be able to scale out effectively and be able to work alongside government sectors and banks. How does that, in a sense, allow us to scale out? How does our blockchain model allow for scalability and overall customization? The biggest crucial aspect that I realized, and I mentioned to my team the same, we cannot build this platform on an existing blockchain model. We can't go to Ethereum and make a decentralized application on top of it. We can't go to Cosmos and make this blockchain out of it. We can't go to Avalanche or Polygon. This has to be its own blockchain, and we need to be able to have it stay that way and build it that way, or develop, I should say. And the reason why wanting to approach it that way is it allows for us to build sidechain applications to run in parallel with core blockchain, which is crucial for all the services that we want to provide for the individual or their collective down the road. These sidechain applications are meant to provide the household staking process, the lending and borrowing process, the offline and online storage capabilities, all of that one go-to application. And that's where we are heading, with blockchain. And it's just getting it to that point where it's a full use case from start to finish. And what I mean by simple use case, the UI just makes it so easy that it's like hopping onto your on Uber or Uber Eats and placing an order and it's there at your door. We want it to be a seamless process in a sense like that. But having our core blockchain application, which in the blockchain application is exactly what's providing the household and that individual their own private and blockchain ledger, which is crucial. We don't need more wallets. We need our own ledgers at this point. This is going to allow people to become, in a sense, their own decentralized commercial bank. And I can't stress that enough, how innovative that is for everybody on a global scale to become that. It provides an additional layer of freedom that I believe Satoshi wanted all of us to have, but we were still putting the puzzle together for him. He gave us technology back in 2008, and he's kind of just said, or a collective, I should say. It's not even he or a she. We don't know who Satoshi was or they. Whoever they were, they presented this technology, and it's up to us being pioneers in the space to innovate it and show the world how we can embrace this technological change. A big technological change that I would say is the government regulation and the upcoming centralized banking digital currencies. At CHAIN2FAMILY, we want to be lead example and show the world how we can embrace that, but still provide that decentralized experience for the individual and the household to operate on a global scale. I can't stress that enough with how important that is. So how do we approach that? Our specific blockchain model is not meant to know your customer. We're not going to be, making sure that we have all this identification with you, wanting to approach it as know your transaction, meaning that we are going to be responsible in the government sector to make sure that we are not, promoting illicit or illegal activities such as money laundering. We need to make sure that our platform does not circulate around that. And with this type of decentralized experience for this individual and their household, they're responsible to report to their government sectors and laws with taxes, for example. And they're responsible for that aspect because they own the filters. We're simply providing that centralized branching or bridging of the gap for them to be a part of this process. They would still be required to make sure they meet their government regulations. And in order for us to embrace and show that case example, CHAIN2FAMILY needs to make sure that we are meeting those regulations and be an example for that. And that's how we're able to bridge and branch those gaps down the road here. As a progression that we have seen since I, started to build the team background January, I started theorizing and researching this back in fall of 2021. And that's when I realized that, hey, we might have something here that could have changed and innovate the world. Let's present this idea on Angel. AngelCo is circulated around startups, blockchain space heavily, and I had certain experience and opportunities with companies on that platform. So I thought, let's post it on here. So I put it on there to see if it would gain interest. And sure enough, within a week, I had over about 40 applicants, which blew my mind. And I started interviewing, started talking to people, on a global scale. I've been meeting people in Japan, Hong Kong. It's been out in Canada. I've talked to people out in Russia, Australia, India. There's so much talent out there wanting to be a part of this project and platform that realize that, hey, there is something here, interest, there's people want to be a part of it. We recently just brought on our CFO, Sean, who has an extensive background in information technology and startups. He's got, I would say, about 20 years behind his back. We brought him on in late February, early March, and he's helping us secure what's going to be an initial seven-figure pre-seed initial investment. And that's going to happen either this quarter or within Q3, but we're trying to make it happen this quarter. We're so excited to get this up and going. Since then, we've just been scaling out and trying to bring on key players. I really brought on we brought on Dr. Amit from India to help officially finalize proof of concept, which I'll dive in more here in a sec of how we're going to display that. We brought on Sebastian Garcia, who is our chief operating officer and has a startup background experience here as well. He's actually a close friend of mine from high school, and I've always kind of looked up to his type of leadership in certain areas because he will set the tone in that space. And then we have Braden, who is our community and project manager. He is making sure Discord is up and ready to go for massive growth, and I've been working alongside him, making sure it's laid out correctly. We're seeing exciting growth and progression, and leading up into the next 5 years, we're hoping to have branched out into other sectors of the world, meaning that we're wanting to first approach India. India is the key innovative example of our embracing centralized banking digital currency. Their prime minister actually announced how they are officially going to be rolling out testing the digital rupee. And Dr. Amit sees this being a huge opportunity to make sure we can test this effectively with our platform and how we can have the individual household, their collective, be able to, be able to meet in the middle with them and see how we can be a part of a decentralized ecosystem, but still work alongside their sisters out there as well, not just in the United States, not just in India, but then it's going to go further, most likely into China, depending on how they pursue certain things out there, or Japan. It just depends on how we're going to approach it from there, because we need to ensure that it's able to work alongside with them. And we're also going to be, within the next 5 years, making sure that everything is entirely secure. When we're branching out into other areas and sectors, we're most likely going to be using cross-chain technology. And we need to make sure that whatever type of bridges we are making between other currencies, other blockchain platforms, the interoperability between all those ecosystems is secure. Coming from a cybersecurity background and really diving into blockchain security, smart contracts, auditing, there's been a lot of hacks and exploitations from threat actors all over the world with cross-chain bridges. And so I'm making sure, being my part, is making sure that every key aspect is secure from start to finish, leading up to each net launch, branching with those bridges. So we are going to make sure everything is tested thoroughly throughout this process, because we do not want to be the ones to bring a message to our community saying, hey, we just had a hack in our bridge. Because that is not good for the company, it's not good for the community, and it's a bad example overall. So everything's going to be tested effectively, start to finish. And if we need to, push things back, we can't stress that enough. And we hope that community and members realize that if there are certain events with our roadmap not rolling out on a time frame, we will be honest and transparent with you, because we want to make sure it's secure start to finish overall. Mistakes that I have learned throughout the process is trying to learn how to balance the workload. I'm taking on a lot of responsibility in a lot of areas. These areas, I'm involved in developing the white paper. I'm involved in developing the core blockchain, the side chains, overall flowchart process, the interviewing, recruiting, putting together the pitch deck, which has been driving me crazy, if I'm being honest, because I'm so ready to. I'm more of the technical guy. I don't put pitch decks together. I like to build and innovate and try to get things changed for the better. So that's been a key issue for me, is trying to have other people get involved and figure out their skill set and where they can get involved. And that also leads to me realizing that education with this technology is crucial. And that's been a hard lesson for me, to be able to learn, be able to educate, and be able to make sense to somebody who may not have so much experience or knowledge or the opportunity to innovate in the space. And just being able to educate the average Joe down the road, the old generation needs some help in understanding that, hey, what's going to happen in the next 10 years is going to change. And we actually have a lot of data that we've together for our pitch deck to reflect that. A lot of people don't realize that the older generation, within the next 10 years, 20 years, they're going to be passing on a huge amount of wealth that was accumulated back around the baby boom stage, right? That figure I could give you within the United States, that ranges 30 to 60 trillion. And all that revenue is going to the crypto users, which is Gen X, Millennial, and Gen Z. And they are the next generation to be adopting to crypto technology, crypto transactions. And that's just the perfect use case example of how CHAIN2FAMILY can help pass generation wealth from A to B, and so on and so on. It can circulate within their specific household, within their collective household, and their family. It's absolutely astounding of where the world's heading with that. And then in certain areas with to make sure that we can, delegate that wealth passing on. It's making sure that everybody is able to understand the technology. I can't stress that enough. But I'm also worried that with what we're doing, and I can't stress it enough to my team, that we are going to most likely become a target to big banks. I find that coming from a cybersecurity perspective and background, I've been educated and realized that certain people hire other people to try to breach, try to hack, try to find vulnerabilities, try to shut it down. And I can't stress that enough, that occurs constantly around the world right now. Even it could be in the sense of just posting very bad news, very bad articles, very bad things about what families trying to provide. That's how the internet circulates. And I'm telling my team, saying, hey, we're exciting. This is a very exciting space to be in. Be aware we pursue this. We need to be ready to take on the challenges that are not currently in our direct view. Are going to see challenges with that. People are not going to want to see us succeed. And it's going to be those centralized infrastructure or identity that do not want that extra layer of freedom to be provided to the individual and their collective household. It's just how I view the world. And depending, just for an example, depending on what country you're born in, you're born into a centralized system from the start. You are then given a type of, I would say, roadmap of schooling, a workspace that help you find a centralized identity or role within that country or government infrastructure. And I see a decentralized ecosystem being able to help that. We need to be able to unlearn our centralized way of conformity, I should say, and be able to relearn a centralized approach, which is meant to provide a whole layer of freedom that we on a global scale have never had. And I believe that's what Satoshi wanted, and I believe that is where we should be heading. But we need to be able to meet everybody in the middle still with these governments, these centralized bank digital currencies. And CHAIN2FAMILY is going to be that key leader, an example, regardless of how the future turns out with it. Our community on Discord is actually growing and have some very key players involved. I've actually got it laid out to where we're leading a full development team alongside the security team. Ranges from full stack to senior to junior dev to internships. Security team, we got the Hashira, which is the overall security team for blockchain security, smart contract security, and makes a little nerdy reference to anime series called Demon Slayer, which it revolves around the family. If people were to watch it, they would understand why I decided that to be the elite role for the security team. We then got the purple team that is meant to help balance the team approach, making sure that they can provide additional insight for that blue team defense and the red team offense aspect with security. And for the community and anybody in your network, as well as Alex, if they are wanting to, learn and be a part of something, we're open to have anybody join us through our Discord. They can follow us on Twitter, which we just barely started to go public on the platform. So our following is not all the way up there. If we are, again, just barely, surfacing with what's going on. But there's a lot of opportunity for people to learn. It's crazy to me to realize that all these people I've interviewed are eager to work with this, and they're willing to volunteer and contribute in certain areas as we continue to finalize our initial round of funding. It's amazing to see people be a part of it. And I realize now I have a huge responsibility, and I am more than willing to take on that responsibility and be transparent and honest with the community, my team, and whoever we bring on board in the near future. That's the biggest, now it's a key to everything. In order for a decentralized community or a financial infrastructure to succeed, it's transparency. And so that means that our entire platform, our entire code will be open source for peer-to-peer reviews. Just like how you think of P2P, peer-to-peer, using E2E, end-to-end, or in that case, end-to-end encryption, that's how CHAIN2FAMILY comes into play as well. CHAIN2FAMILY, it's meant to be peer-to-peer, decentralized ecosystem powering these individuals and their households with their own cross-chain ledgers, so they can basically self-govern assets, but still be able to meet the government sectors and the centralized banks down the road. That is the overall goal of CHAIN2FAMILY. Excuse me for all that. That was quite the spill there, but do you have any questions for me, Alex, in regards to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very interesting with this community base and the different cultures and families that you're working with in such a global scale. I think the way the different governments are regulating the space in such different ways, it must be sort of quite interesting with the group of people you surround yourself being so international, of how different governments are dealing with different regulations.
Yes, and that's going to be a big aspect with CHAIN2FAMILY and finding the right talent. Like we're wanting to find people in each government sector to help us make sure that we understand, because each banking sector works differently, right, within each country. It's not going to operate the same like it does here in the United States. It's going to operate fairly different in India and the UK, for example. But overall, it's providing that additional blockchain ledger for your ownership, so you can not have to worry about reporting it to a third-party bank or government infrastructure. And I guess with the assets, I can go a little bit more in depth with that. Tokenizing physical and digital assets, that includes your house deed, your car title. It can be your wedding certificate, your birth certificate, identification. It can be jewelry, furniture. It's anything that the household and the individual classify as an asset, meaning you would have the capability of then storing it into your private or public ledger on that specific layer, so it's not exposed, but you still have to govern it. I also forgot, my apologies, I meant to describe more of the proof of concept that me and Dr. Mitt are actually finalizing and trying to get that rolled out. We're actually wanting to do a live broadcast of this, and if this happens, it's going to be showcasing our terminals with this as well. So, for example, I would have my own private and publicly owned sidechain. He has his own privately and publicly owned sidechain out in India. I send information A to his, and then it finalizes that the block output on the core blockchain, which is going to show the data, the transaction, depending on whatever it may be. And that's to us confirming, yes, this is exactly how this is going to work. This is how we're going to be able to exchange information on a global scale in a decentralized way and in a tokenized way for these private and publicly owned cross-chain ledgers. The perfect example of this is how the internet was born. If you think about it, back in the 90s, when information, or I believe it was the 90s, I could be wrong with that, but at some point someone sending information to computers hooked up from A to B, from the East Coast to the West Coast, right? And then, boom, history was just made. And now we're seeing history going to be made here in a sense with people owning and becoming their own decentralized, basically banks at this point, and sending and exchanging what's soon going to be an entire decentralized, I would say, marketplace overall, or way for people to govern their assets.
It's very, very exciting what you've got going on at CHAIN2FAMILY, and I just believe the passion you've got and the team you've got on board, you can only succeed. There's no question there.
Yeah, that's how I look at it, and I sure hope so. It's only up from here, and it's just continuing to move forward and getting everything finalized and bringing on the right people. The right people need to be involved with that, and we realize that in order for this to succeed. And the CFO, Sean, knows that as well. He's like, we need to make sure that the right people are involved, or or we won't be able to scale out as we plan here.
And I'm really enjoying being part of your Discord group. Do you want to sort of go into a bit of detail of that, because it's really sort of making some moves there?
Yeah, sorry, let me go back in here. There's a lot of information going on. So when you join our Discord community, right now we're at about 42 family members. It's going to make you go through a verification process. You can talk about you, introduce yourself, so we can figure out, would you have a key role in the space and helping us contribute in certain areas, or if you're just wanting to hang out and have just a clear, transparent way of seeing what's being developed. Below, within our welcoming committee, we have the pioneers, which is what I consider to be the founding and co-founder team. We're the ones actively trying to put things together in a certain way and contributing in every aspect to make sure that this is able to succeed long term. And with this Discord, just so everyone is aware, we are trying to make sure every channel is transparent and open, so you can see actively what's occurring, what's going on throughout this entire process. Below the pioneers, we have family members. This is meant to be just where the overall community can hang out, discuss exciting things, ask questions, suggest certain things for the overall roadmap or our company infrastructure. And we're also going to be listing, the road trip, which is going to be the roadmap, any type of news updates, events that are coming up. And which also reminds me, the roadmap, we have it officially set for 2022, and we're trying to get our landing page launched this month. So it's going to list both our technical documentation, the roadmap, and we're wanting to lead it up to our first initial coin offering, which is trying to be in Q4, right around December, just so everyone is aware. That is the goal for 2022, but there's a lot of steps we need to take leading up to that so far. Below the family members, we have our neighborhood watch, and this is personally one of my favorites because we have a cool little security updates channel where we connected a Twitter bot to provide Twitter updates from Certec Alert to help kind of just let users know what's ongoing in the security space with hacks, vulnerabilities, and just kind of certain coins or tokens that are, that are meant to be rug pulled. These are scammers, right, that are operating in a very unnecessary way with their communities. And that's just to help people be aware of what to look out for. Each channel dives into the red team, blue team, purple team by Hishira. This is meant for all of our roles that we have assigned in this Discord for these key players to talk to contribute to, so they can, be able to help us develop this out effectively. All of these roles are also assigned to our GitHub organization, which is officially being, we just got that set in stone this month as well. So that's going to help them understand how to work together as a team. The construction zone is all for the development team and getting our mobile app created, the mobile wallet, a full stack web app application, meaning it's transparent on both your desktop and your mobile app, while still providing that still of a mobile app. But the mobile wallet itself is going to be an in-store application that you'll be able to download from Apple or Android, depending on what device you use. We're also going to be developing the official proof of concept, the side chains or branch chains, the core blockchain, and that hardware wallet capability with offline storage, which I see Dr. Amit being a key player since he has a direct background experience with that centralized digital currency and how he was able to showcase that and out there in India. The public library is meant to be the overall resource for the community, keeping you up to date with what's going on, how blockchain works. It's meant to have people be able to go into the chat, see a link, click on the link, and be up to date with that. All of this research that we do on our end, we're making sure that the articles are not beyond 2020. We're wanting to make sure that the information we're seeing is relevant between 2021 and 2022. with whatever we're seeing, with the word community. For example, I could dive into about physical NFT. A lot of people don't realize that there are capabilities right now for a physical NFT. Not only that, but just having it be able to be tokenized to a digital form. Basically, that's what a physical NFT is. You tokenize that physical object into a smart contract. Overall, what that process is. We're also discussing about, or posting information regarding governments centralized banking digital currencies, how the traditional finance, centralized finance, and decentralized finance are merged together. Also dive more into about the overall blockchain ecosystems. Where do we fit in that place? We actually fit in multiple categories. CHAIN2FAMILY does in the blockchain ecosystem, and we're trying to showcase that here shortly with our roadmap here. We also have more information about cross-chain bridges. Everybody needs to focus more on cross-chain interoperability between multiple platforms, multiple blockchains, and how inter-blockchain communication is actually a really effective way to making sure that's secure start to finish. Virtual mergers, meaning that's just basically discussing virtual machines, or in Ethereum terms, you're looking at Ethereum virtual machines, or EVMs in a sense, and that's just a way of how they can bridge certain gaps between cryptocurrency. We then got media and marketing. Media marketing to be for our creator, or our creation team, content creators, I should say. One that be an example is Will, who we call our DeFi archivist, and he should be writing more about CHAIN2FAMILY here shortly, I would say, within the next week or so, and posting on our Medium. We then got our Web 2, Web 3 social pages. Currently, it's just Web 2, but we are going to be looking at being a part of specific Web 3 pages that circulate around just posting or in a sense monetizing, right, in the decentralized space of Web 3. And we'll be looking at hop on the hopefully, I would say, shortly in Q3 as well. And we got the global family chain. The channel is meant to kind of reflect each type of country that is on track to adopting centralized banking digital currency, and for people from all over the world to engage in their culture. Because we want to be a decentralized platform and a community, so we welcome people from all over the world to partake in this thing and just being able to experience this platform together. And if I go over into the role, you can see the pioneers go by Kitoshi, and currently within here it says prepping for the QA, which is exactly what I've been doing throughout this process. And then to understand more of the roles we have in here, Saucy is the CFO, Sebastian Garcia X is the COO, and then we have Braden, CTF, who is the project community manager, and then we have Send FOX, or Send Fox, Eric, who is advisor of ours from a community called Standard DAO, and he has a lot of financial experience and background, and can help direct us in certain areas or provide feedback. And then full stack architect, senior architects. Currently, right now online, we have our full stack architect. It's booked by Bagdavin. He's actually working as well with Ian Doctor and be able to finalize the proof of concept. He's out in India as well. And then OX Alex is a Solidity developer, and he is wanting to help contribute in certain areas of decentralized applications on the road. We have a senior architect named Janil. He's actually working alongside Prajal, who Prajal is actually, he's from Jersey, and he's actually in college right now, but Prajal wants to have more experience and opportunity in developing a React Next.js website. So him and Janil are partnering together to get our landing page squared away. We're just going to have the landing page squared away to showcase the team, the roadmap, our documentation linked to a Gitbook, and from there we'll be integrating into a Web3 type full stack application down the road. A lot of people, I stress enough, are also people that are wanting to have more experience and knowledge. So with your community out, they can hop in and learn, and there's basis for everybody. A lot of these people are just wanting to work alongside and just trying to have some type of contribution. An example is Techie Shay. Techie Shay I met through Standard DAO, and she's like, I really love your platform, and I want to be a part of this. And she wants to help in our technical docs, and she's like, I'll volunteer whatever type of time that I can. It's also pretty funny that when you're part of other decentralized communities in server and people start to see what you have going on, I actually had Prajal say, I'd rather come work with your team. I don't want to be a part of decentralized or Standard DAO anymore. This makes more sense to me. And to me, it's awesome to hear that these people are seeing how important a project this is going to be down the road. And that's just a quick example of our Discord community and how we plan on tweaking and developing it further as well with whoever comes on board.
Yeah, I really appreciate you going through all my questions and answering very well, and sort of giving everyone a real detailed input on what's going on with your career and where things have gone. And I think you're just sort of such an exciting team around you. It's amazing how global we are these days, and you can really get sort of information from anywhere in the world. And I know the pandemic's happened, but I think that has accelerated it.
100%. And when you brought that up, I am going to describe another key aspect. Our Sean CFO said we were looking at approaching, partnering with third-party branches, like having physical locations where a family can go in or the individual can go in and begin that ledger process. But he mentioned how the pandemic, made everybody kind of go back into their homes and not be out and about physically anymore. And I said, okay, well, here's the next innovative approach, and we discussed this. It's why not allow, the individual in their household to use this process, use this platform from the comfort of their own home. They're able to hop online from their desktop, their mobile app, and begin that entire process right from the living room. Like it's meant to, that to me set the overall message. Like, okay, this is an official decentralized platform company. This is what we're meant to be. We're not meant to be anything else but that.
Yeah, it's such an interesting, exciting concept you've got there, and I really wish you all the best. And I'm really enjoying sort of keeping in touch on Discord, and you continuous updating me of how you're getting on. It's very exciting about your token launch in December, your roadmap, your funding hopefully coming quite soon as well. So you've got a lot going on, got a lot of hats to wear. I think you're very busy.
I am very busy. I'm up, sometimes 3 or 4 in the morning, going nonstop.
Like a true developer.
I guess you could say that. Yep, there's comfort in the night. Sometimes you put on some music and you're just tuned in and just having a good time. That's
great. Yeah, the distractions aren't there sometimes in the evening.
Yeah, that's true. I'm pretty focused right now. I've turned down certain job opportunities just to solely focus in this space, and it's something I'm passionate about, as you can see.
I think you're right too, and you should have a great deal of confidence going in because you've got a great team around you.
100%.
No, thank you very much for the questions and answers, Keaton. Really appreciate it. I look forward to getting out to the network. Look forward to getting out to the UK and seeing what sort of feedback we get from international, especially the UK market, which I'm mainly based in.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to see what they think of the project and platform, and I'll stay in touch with you. Thank you, Alex.
Perfect. Thank you.